Hello, Crowan here, bringing you the Shaman 5.2 patch notes. First up, Elemental Mastery now has 1 minute cooldown. It was 2 minutes. Brilliant change for mostly, we're looking at Ellie Shamans. It's a 60 talent, a level 60 talent. It's also good for enhancement and for resto, but it's just trying to make it more viable. So I would say it's definitely a big thing for Ellie Shamans. So it's just like, I think a focused thing, because normally you wouldn't see too many enhancement Shamans or resto Shamans even considering taking this, and this is an Ellie thing, you know, getting more spells off. So I can see this being a big thing for them. You know, one more lava burst could be someone's death, really. Next up, Shamanistic Rage is now available to be used by Elemental Shamans as well as Enhancement Shamans. And what is that for anyone who doesn't know? Shamanistic Rage is a cooldown, 60-second cooldown that reduces all damage taken by 30% and makes your spells cost no mana, and you can also use it while you're stunned. So it's basically a defensive cooldown for Elemental Shamans. And this is really, really big. This is like Ellie Shamans are probably sitting here like exploding with joy, because this is something they needed. Like, they've needed it for a while. They've never had really any great defensives. You know, it's not like they had Spirit Link Totem like their brethren do. And, you know, it's a good move by them. Although, it does feel like they should have gave something to Enhancement Shamans, potentially. You can't win them all, though. Next up, we have Conductivity, which is just a level 75 talent. And it no longer requires that the target be within the area of effect healing rain. And I'll just read out what it's like when you've got the new version. So when you cast Healing Wave, Greater Healing Wave, or Surge, all allies within your healing range share healing equal to 20% of the initial healing done. If your Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Earth Shock, or Storm Strike damages an enemy allies within your healing range, you get healing equal to 50% of initial damage done. It's a level 75 talent. It's actually not, as far as I can consider, it's not really a great talent. It feels like it needs to be a base thing. It shouldn't be a talent at all, because it's basically only aimed at one of the 3 Shaman specs. So hopefully they switch this out and put something else in there. If they don't, then they don't, but it's not really great. You're not really going to be trying to focus on healing as a enhancement or an Ellie, so why would you be taking this unless it was really OP? Next up, Ancestral Swiftness, which is the level 60 talent, now increases spell haste by 5% and melee haste by 10%, and it was 5%. Basically, this to help with it would be spell and melee haste by 5%, and now it's 10% on the melee, and the melee is because spells benefit more from haste, and that's a big thing, I guess, for enhancement shamans. It's like, you know, you don't get any energy like a rogue or something, so that going up isn't a thing for you, because you're based off mana, so you need more swings, and so the more swings the better, so it actually makes it a worthwhile thing for them to take. And also, like, 1.5 minute Ancestral Swiftness for the actual cooldown is really good, just to pop on someone and then joof straight, but, you know, using Hex or whatever. So it's like it's a more solid talent for enhancement shamans now. It's basically a buff to enhancement. Okay, some bad news for shamans. Glyph of Purge now adds a 6-second cooldown to Purge. This is because Glyph of Purge makes you take off 2 instead of 1 of the enemy's buffs, and now it's going to be either you have 2 but it has a cooldown, or you have 1 and it has no cooldown. So if you're going to be spamming Purge, then you don't take the Glyph. But to be honest, a lot of stuff you only have like 2 buffs to worry about, and then it would be in situations where you want to switch it in and out. So let's say you're against just a mate, right? So 1v1 situation, taking Glyph of Purge is worth it, because they're not going to have more than 2 buffs up at any time that you want to get rid of, so it don't matter, because you're going to want Ice Barrier, whatever, and they don't, I think Arcane Intellect is the other thing that gets taken off. The only problem would be, is if they used, they had Ice Barrier up, and they popped their other things that they have that are like buffs, so maybe you wouldn't against mages, but stuff like monks, you would probably take Glyph of Purge against, but then you would just, against maybe like priests, you would be like, alright, I'll just take the normal Purge, so I can spam it a bit more if I need to. I don't know what they're going to do, or all shamans are going to do. It's going to be like, oh, should I take that against this kind of spell Glyph rather than take it against everyone, because it's amazing. Next up, Stone Bulwark Totem now absorbs 25% more damage. This makes it a more solid defense cooldown. It's a level 15 talent, so just for reference, but actually feels like it's going to be a big increase. It doesn't, 25% doesn't sound like much on an actual one spell, but it actually feels like it's going to be a big increase. You're going to look at numbers up to 30k for enhancement shamans, and I'm not quite sure about elemental shamans for the main bulk of the shield, and then your lower half of the shield is going to be about 10k, so it's 10k every 5 seconds after, so it's going to be a good talent now, rather than before it was kind of like mediocre. It's going to actually feel like a bigger thing. Before it wasn't, it was hitting for like 22-ish k or something like that, maybe. Okay, so next topic. Unleash Fury, Flame Tongue, now increases lightning bolt damage by 20%, and it was 30%, so that's a nerf, and lava burst damage by 10%, and it was 0%. So basically this is a buff straight up up to Ellie Shamans. Obviously, as an enhancement, you don't really use Lava Burst. And obviously, as enhancement, you don't use Flame Tongue, really. You tend to use just Wind Fury and stuff. I think you take one of each, actually. I'm not entirely sure anymore. I haven't played an enhancement Shaman in a while. But you're looking at Lightning Bolt nerf and a Lava Burst buff. And I think that's just so that it's a better thing for Ellie, and it's also going to increase their damage. This might mean that it goes through the roof when you do have this, when you use Empower, so we can only hope anyway. Next up, Primal Earth Elemental and Primal Fire Elemental now deal 20% more damage. This is going to make them a big cooldown now. Like before, they was hitting quite hard, but not super hard, and now you're going to want to use them every time that you're in, like, there's a situation where you can use them. You're going to, like, blow them out, and they're going to hit hard. Like, we're not talking, like, you know, little numbers now. This isn't, like, got an imp hitting someone. This is going to be, like, you've got a hunter pet without all the ridiculous buffs up, hitting them, which is really nice. Next up, Elemental Blast now has a chance to increase the caster's agility for enhancement shamans. This is actually really good change. This is going to make Elemental Blast even better. Before now, you'd, like, probably just, you know, you'd instant cast it as an enhancement, and now it's going to be so much better for just actually having the agility to come up. Next up, Glyph of Flame has been redesigned. This glyph now causes Shaman to heal 50% of the damage dealt by Flame Shock. This is crazy buff, really. If you are lacking, like, as a Ellie, this is probably going to be a really good one, because your Flame Shock actually ticks quite hard. And also, it's just the bit of off healing. So let's say you're going to get trained, and you don't really need to use Hex because you're with a mage or something. You're going to want to take this, like, every time, because it's going to give you that extra little bits of ticks, and it doesn't sound like, oh, you know, that's not really much, like 50% of the damage. Let's say it crit for 5k, that's 2.5k, right? And that's a hot that's ticking on you for 2.5k. You're not a healer. So, and I think it actually ticks for ridiculous numbers. I think it can crit, and it'll crit for like 10k easy, so 5k heal on you. And so it depends on what spec you are, obviously. And we're going to be looking at some big, if you can get big numbers on your Flame Shock, you're going to get big numbers on heals, and just that passive extra healing. It's sort of like priests not using Renew sometimes in PvP, and it's like that Renew tick is going to keep you topped up, and it's going to, like, for an Ellie or enhancement or even Resto, they take this glyph, it's going to just top up that little bit of health. The healer's not going to have to switch to chuck a heal on you or anything. It's going to be great. Really good against any dot cleaves, because it's going to give you that extra bit of health back, and you're also going to be dotting as well, so that's good, obviously. The final change is Flame Shock's duration has been increased by 25%. Obviously, with the last thing that I just said about the Glyph of Flame being redesigned, this is going to be a buff to that. So Flame Shock 25% increased duration. That duration is going to be great for Ellie. Super buff for Ellie, really. A lot of this is an Elemental Shaman love. Enhancement are doing okay, but then their defensives aren't great. They only have the one, which is Shamanistic Rage, and it feels like they need another one. I think they might be able to skimp away by using the Stone Bulwark Totem, but I don't know too much whether that's going to be enough to buff them out of their current situations. But Flame Shock buff, 25% increased duration, so you can have even more healing because it's going to go on for longer. That's all from me on the Shaman changes. I hope you like this video. If you do, please let me know with a like and whatever else. Also, feel free to just give me feedback. I want to know whether I'm doing a good job. If this is a good job, please let me know that. I'd love to hear that. But if there's anything you think I could upgrade or change that will help any of the stuff I'm doing, please let me know. I really appreciate it. I really do. Some people just want people to comment. I don't really care. I just want the feedback. You can mail me if you really don't like the idea that I might get more views because there's more comments. I'm not really high on the YouTube scale anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'd also enjoy any mail you sent me anyway for YouTube. And that's it from me, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye!